Well, he's originally from Snohomish, Washington, but he calls Owasso, Oklahoma these days. He's no stranger to victory lane, whether in the Midwest or in his native Pacific Northwest. It's Seth Bergman, our next guest here on Getting Up to Speed with me, Ben Deathridge. That's coming up after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. This broadcast is brought to you by Meat Freaks Jerky Club. Get the best jerky the world has to offer straight to your door by visiting meatfreaksjerkyclub.com. Pick your box and plan, tell them where to ship, and receive and enjoy. Log on to meatfreaksjerky.com and use promo code SPEED. All on the phone with me now, the Snohomish, Washington native, Seth Bergman. Seth, great to have you on Getting Up to Speed. You and I, we go way back to when you started racing sprint cars. Was about the time I started announcing, and look how things have turned out.
Yeah, it's you put it like that. It's been quite a long time, and you're right. It was nice to get home, actually, out to the West Coast. And when you spend a lot of time in the sport, it's nice to see familiar faces and people that have been in the sport as long as you. So, like you said, it was nice to get home. It was nice to see you.
Yeah, no, that was one of my questions I was going to ask later on, but I'll just go ahead and ask it. You know, you frequent out here for a short stint, but coming back home and racing, it's just got, in so many different ways, it's got to feel great.
It does, yeah. I always try. I can do it about once a year, come back and race, but I always try to plan a trip out there at least one point in time during the racing season. I always enjoy it. I enjoy coming to Skagit Speedway, and then we made a trip down to Grace Harbor, and it's just nice to get home and race in front of familiar faces that people that have supported me and been fans and friends and family for a long time, get in front of them and race and be able to spend time with them off the track as well. And then, coming home, it always puts things into perspective too, from where, I started to where I am and, where we want to go. So it's always nice, at least once a year, come back, do all that, put everything in perspective and carry on.
No doubt perspective's a big deal because, face it, this happens, and not necessarily the Pacific Northwest, but, you have drivers that go out, they relocate, and they just kind of, just to put it plainly, they forget where they came from kind of deal. And that definitely isn't the case with you.
Yeah, no. I think too, I'm by no means like some big superstar in the sport of racing, but it always, for me, at least personally, it's humbling. I go back, look where I came from and just see where I started and kind of the beginnings of my racing career and how we did it compared to, now where I'm at in my career and the path that it's taken to get here. It's always nice, like I said, to get back and just reflect on that. And, we've had quite a bit of success in the sport and in the 360 ranks, where I've spent a lot of time and see where we started and, the path that it's taken to get there and win some of the races and be as competitive as we are now. It grounds you and puts me in a place where I like to be mentally.
Well, let's talk about 2023, right around 16 feature starts, 16 top 10s. You're 100% in that category and only finished outside the top 5 twice with 14. 5 main event wins, though. Thunderbird Speedway, Longdale Speedway, and Outlaw Motor Speedway in Oklahoma, and then Skagit Speedway on July 8th. And most recently, the final night of the Battle Royale on June 23rd at Grays Harbor Raceway. Not too bad of a season for you, just with your schedule that you got going on.
Yeah, no, not bad. We've run a limited amount of races, just trying to be, pick and choose the races we want to run. It's kind of right now, at least, it's more quality over quantity for us, and it seems to fit my schedule and lifestyle good that way right now. So we've been very competitive every time. I don't know how many seconds we got, but there's quite a few seconds in there. And then we had a run where we were on the podium like almost 10 nights in a row. And I feel like almost every night we've fought for a win, which is hard to do in the sport. And we've been able to find a way to do it. So that's been really good. I really wanted to win the finale there at 360 Nationals. That was kind of a target on our schedule, but we came up one spot short. we qualified really bad that weekend. Just qualifying was in my head there at Skagit Speedway, and typically we're really good qualifiers. But for whatever reason, the last 2 nights at Skagit, I got in my own head and I couldn't get qualified. So we had to come from way back and dig out of a hole and, still salvage a good result there. So all in all, we've been very competitive so far and won 5 times, and it could have been quite a few more than that. Just a few little things change here or there throughout the race. We've been really close on a lot of other occasions. So definitely, can't complain about our results, I don't feel like.
I know that, yeah, with the ASCS series you were referring to, like you and Jason Martin, it was like a duel between you two.
Yeah, it almost seemed like at times there was just like if I was winning, he was second, or vice versa. We had a pretty good battle going on there for a month or so.
I know that you and I talked about Grays Harbor Raceway. ASCS kind of in a new era now, and it seems to be a pretty good new era. Like, your feedback from it was very positive, what Terry Maddox is doing. It just seems like he's had some rough luck with some weather at the start of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about Terry or his staff or the series that he owns now. I think he's trying to do the best he can, which I know he is, and he's slowly getting his races, I feel like, paying better. He came out with a 10 or 11 races this year. I think a little mini schedule within his schedule that paid 5,000 to win, 500 to start, or something like that. So that's great. And I know he's got plans to get the points fund back up where it needs to be. And so we started and ran heavy with him at the beginning of the year, but I won't say I had thoughts of maybe running full time, but we ended up not being able to. Just busy with business and life, and it just running a full time national schedule. I feel like it takes 100% focus on that and that only, and it just trains you. So I'm just not in a place right now where I can 100% give everything I got into a schedule like that. So we didn't uncommit to them for anything they were doing. They're doing great things, and it was just more personal reasons than a schedule I want to run right now. Is why we split away. But hopefully at some point I can get 100% focused on maybe wanting to run a 70 race schedule or something again, or run the full national tour. Mentally, I have to coach it a little different, but maybe at some point we can get back to that. But the type of racing we do now, I really enjoy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had experienced that for several years, running the ASCS full schedule for the national tour. And, like you said, life gets at your dad now, you're a husband, and now you're a business owner. So things definitely have changed, but not in a negative way.
Right. It's just, things change. All those things you just mentioned, I am, and I'm proud of all of them, and I put a lot of energy into being good, with everything. And that includes a dad, a husband, a business owner, all of them. So you get spread out so thin, it gets hard. So sometimes it's just nice to refocus. But racing's always been there, and it's something I love. It's something I have a big background in, and at times it's like, well, do I want to do something else or get away from it for a while? And then I spend a little bit of time away from it. It makes me realize how much I do enjoy it and how much I'm passionate about it and passionate about winning. That's what keeps me coming back, is being competitive and winning. So I'm glad we're still able to put things together to run a schedule. And then when we're running, be competitive too. But it's always in the back of my mind. I'm trying to, get into a spot where maybe we could race pretty heavy again at some point here.
Because I remember you went out on the road for a year. I'm trying to, you'll have to correct me, like about 2009 or so, then came back in 2010. And it was just, and not to say that you weren't a good driver before, but night and day difference. And then you guys went on the road after that year. 2010, you just destroyed everybody at Grays Harbor and wherever you went. And then, fast forward to the year or two after that, you guys eventually relocated to Oklahoma.
Yeah, wow, you're really good with your dates. I'll give you that. That's
yeah,
a lot of history and dates. But no, you're right. Yeah, we left in 2009, and that was such a huge learning experience. I mean, I had just kind of raced locally around there with the NSP, and mainly just the Skagit Speedway. We travel a little bit with NSP, and then we would take little trips here and there, maybe down to California. But I was just getting started, and then in 2009 we went, and I got my butt kicked against, some really good names at the time and some professional race car drivers that have gone on to have great careers. Just got my butt handed to me and learned on a lot of different levels. Just if it was what I wanted to do, if I could be that competitive, how much I had to learn. And so it was a great learning year. And then, you know, we just couldn't afford to go back on the road in 10, and we stayed home, and we got hooked up with a guy around there who ended up sponsoring us and was a big part of us getting back on the road. But that year really shaped me because it showed me kind of what I needed to do if I wanted to stay in the sport at a high level to be competitive. And I came home and worked hard in trying to turn myself into the competitor that I saw myself being. So stopped, you know, maybe having so much fun and partying so much and started worrying about results. And that's really when things kind of turned the corner, and have been building kind of off that ever since.
Well, yeah, you know, you mentioned it, like you sometimes you have to, you got to get your tail kicked a little bit. And, you know, you hear stories now, like, why is Clyde Knipp there? Like, why is Noah Gass doing what he's doing? And to a certain extent, about 10 years ago, is the same story with Logan Schuchart and Jacob Allen, but their experience on the road and quote unquote taking their licks has brought them and elevated them to a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're local racing and you have dreams of going out there, you never really know what it entails and what it's consisted of. And, you know, so we went out. ASCS that year was the first year where they offered a really hefty points fund, and the races paid really well, and they had tow money. And so we kind of thought, hey, like if we're going to do it, now's the time. Before that, 360 racing really didn't seem like you could go out and have a chance at earning much money. But when ASCS came out with that, it was kind of like, hey, you know, we have 360s, and let's just take what we got and see if we can go do it. And yeah, you learn the hard way. You know, that's going to school. So you go out there and you learn and figure out if it's what you want to do or not, or even if you're going to be capable of doing it. And we did it. And then, like I said, we came home and had a really great year the next year, and have been going ever since.
Well, I know it's still racing in ovals and turning left, but what would you say, your opinion, your take, is the biggest difference from the West Coast versus the Midwest? Is it just a deeper intensity, perhaps more opportunities to race throughout the week? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I mean, it's like you said, it's still going in circles, but I mean, there's differences for sure. I know one reason I like going back to run Skagit is I feel it's one of the premier facilities in the country. And now, you know, it was great when Beitler owned it, and now that Kevin Rudeen has it and his staff and Peter Murphy, you know, just everything that they have going on out there. You don't get to run very many places very often out here in the Midwest, I feel like, with, you know, its setting, where it is, its scenery, the facility itself, the purses that they have, just everything from when you roll into the great gate. So, I mean, that speedway in itself, that's one big difference Skagit Speedway has over a lot of the places in the Midwest. But, you know, as far as the racing goes, the style of racing up there is a little different. It's almost a little more aggressive, the way Skagit is, and maybe the way Elma is too. So the style of it, the way you have to race the racetracks is very aggressive, which taught me a lot when I was younger too. And I think it plays a lot into my driving style now. But compared to the Midwest here, where there's a lot of big tracks out here, they get really slick. They don't usually build big curves. It's pretty smooth. So out here, you get a lot of dry, slick racetracks where you got to finesse the car and drive a little different. And even the drivers, the young guys and the Midwesterners out here, they run a little different too. They're, I don't know, maybe almost even more respectful the way they run their race cars. And maybe it's because it's not quite as an aggressive style, but I would say the Midwest is just, you know, a lot more finesse and a lot more give and take as compared to when you go out there. It seems like the tempo of the race itself, like with the track conditions and everything, picks up, and you got to be aggressive. So I'm glad that I've been able to grow up out there and then come out here and race this style. It's kind of molded, you know, a lot of different tricks in the playbook. I guess I feel like I'm very versatile because of the opportunities and the different types of tracks that I've been able to be on.
When I've looked at it like this, and for the last few years, I was heavy in the IMCA stuff, and there was a big comparison. Why is it that things on the West Coast, guys, they throw caution to the wind, where in the Midwest there's a little bit of an etiquette or something. And maybe it plays in the same form too, is that in the Midwest, it's more common to have multi-day shows. And for the most part, you're racing against the same guys. So it's like, hey, I know, like I'll be more cautious because I don't want to work on my race car till 4 a.m. and rebuild. And I know that you don't want to, and we can't just be, beating each other's faces in. Whereas on the West Coast, and this isn't a slam against it, it's a lot of just Saturday night racing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point too. I mean, there is, if you're able to travel a little bit, you can be to quite a few different racetracks within, a 3 or 4 day span and run every night. So when the timing is right throughout the year, it used to be a lot more so in the Midwest where I am for 360 racing, but the sanctions and things like that have changed, so I can't do it quite as aggressively now around me. But still, I could, Knoxville's not far away. They run every weekend. If you had a 410, there's Houston on Sundays. Jackson runs a lot on Fridays. So that right there, like that part of the country, you can run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every weekend. And then there's, a lot of regional stuff around where you could run on a Friday and a Saturday or even a Sunday sometimes. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more racetracks and probably a lot more racing going on out here because I just feel like out there, it's obviously so isolated, just kind of the West Coast, especially up in the Northwest. It's just kind of in its own little corner up there, and you only have so much to choose from. Versus out here, if you would like, you could be to a lot of different places within a reasonable amount of time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think if you're in the Seattle area and it's looking like rain, it's like, well, we could truck it, 16 hours in the rig to the Central Valley for Tulare or Hanford. It's just mind-boggling just to get a race in.
Yeah, up there, it's exactly right. I mean, you'd probably look at the forecast and schedule looks like rain this weekend, and that'd probably be it because there's just really nothing else to choose from. Versus out here, if we were going to go to an ASCS national race one weekend, it looked like rain. You could hit a regional race, or like I said, you could drive to Knoxville or go Houston, or there's quite a few different things out here that are probably worth your while now. And then if you had a 410, especially with high limit now, and there's MAWA, there's MOWA, there's IRA, there's a lot of those smaller series that run 410s, and then when the national tour is running in the heart of the summer and stuff, they do run quite a bit, multiple days a week. So there's all that as well.
Well, you mentioned owning a business. For all the people that don't know, tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so at some point here along the road, when I moved to Tulsa here, I'm in the suburb of Tulsa and Owasso, but racing, and then bought a house here, and then my wife and I, we decided we were going to go into business as well. So we got into selling coffee. So we have drive-through coffee shops, and we started with one, and now we're at 4 different locations and a lot of employees and a lot going on there. So that keeps me really busy as well, and is a big part of why I kind of run the schedule I do now. So really fortunate, been successful business now and racing. So they're both going well. So, but yeah, like I said, the business has kind of taken me off of the full-time front with racing, but it's not a bad thing either. So we're making money in that, and we both really enjoy it too. So that's a big part of our lives now as well.
Is it harder being a dad or being a boss, so to speak, a supervisor, managing employees?
I don't know. I mean, everything has its challenges. Being a dad is being a dad. It's got its challenges and it's got its rewards, and it's definitely, I wouldn't even call them challenges. They're just, you learn things being a father that you would probably never learn before. So being a father is definitely like the greatest, best thing that's ever happened to me. It's like what I'm most proud of. So it's taught me a lot. Taught me a lot of patience. Yeah, and if anybody's a dad, they know what I mean. It changes you and changes your mind. And
you're preaching to the choir. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So
sure.
It can be challenging at times. Kids have a mind of their own, and sometimes they don't like to listen and be crazy when you don't want to be crazy. But
exactly.
Yeah, you grow and you get patience, and you learn that kids are such an amazing thing.
Sure. Yeah. You got to take a deep breath and realize, wait, I'm arguing with a 3-year-old. What am I doing here? Just, you learn to walk away. So.
Yeah. It put a lot of things into perspective too. It helped me even with racing, you learn, you broaden your horizons when you become a dad and a business owner. You start learning a lot more things outside of, like, at the time would just be I was 100% focused on racing and only things in that environment. I was only studying things that pertain to that. So then becoming a father and then going into business has taught me so many more things just about, I mean, everything in the world, business, kids, life, personalities, just like I said, broadens your horizon. So it's helped me to look at things in racing a little different, and I think helped me grow in the sport of racing as well, because I'm more open to things. I have more patience. I view things maybe a bit differently at times, and some things about that may hurt, but I think there's some things that help as well.
Well, and what's cool too, and this is me being a dad, specifically this last Speed Week Northwest, was you make memories as a family or with your child. I only brought one of my kids with me, but
Yeah.
you make those memories, whereas it used to be just like race, 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 work, 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 maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. You kind of learn how to slow things down. It's like, hey, let's go explore this town, whereas normally it'd be racetrack, hotel, then next to the next racetrack,
Yeah.
hotel kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it shows you there's joy outside of racing too, and then when you're in the sport, something like that, and you can share it with your kids, that's pretty awesome. And then to be able to have moments, like as a racer where you can win races and have your kids there with you and see the look in their eye and look back and know that when I was that young, how things looked to me in those moments and how I looked up to my dad or some of the race car drivers, and then be able to, be there and have those moments with your kids and see the smiles on their faces. And, it's a pretty cool experience. And yeah.
Well, it's really cool too, because when you and I were growing up, we're about the same age. It was strict. You couldn't go to the pits at this age, and our children are blessed enough to where if they want to go out there, they can. And then you meet other people with other kids, and it's like not the babysitters club, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get to know people outside. Sure, we're all connected through racing, but it's like, oh man, you won't believe what my kid did. It's like, really, that I thought I was the only one. My kid's doing the same things, sort of deal.
Absolutely. Times have changed for sure. It was the pits were a strict place, even when I was younger, and you had to be a certain age to get in, and there was really no exceptions. And now it just seems like, you can bring your kids, your pets, your family, anybody can be in the pit area. So it's kind of a free for all. So yeah, it's cool though, being able to have them around and experience and go through all those things with your children at the racetrack too.
Well, and it helps too, at least for me, at the aspect if like maybe the night was a little rough or it was just nothing could go right. You still have that little person there that just had the time of their life watching cars go around, and that it doesn't solve it all, but it helps.
No, right. I think that's just it, right? Like it's something like that. You can have a bad night, and then you see your child or something like that, and it just instantly puts everything back into perspective.
Well, and what was cool for you guys is your lovely wife was selling shirts at Grays Harbor during Speed Week, but also your kids were helping out too, drumming up some sales.
Yeah, it's great. Things like that, seeing things like that, being able to, have my wife there and have her selling some merchandise and talking to people and fans. And, there's people that will tell her stories about when I'm younger or have known me for a really long time. So it's cool to see them experience that. And it's fun to look up there and see my kids selling merchandise and being fun and goofy and having a great time. So yeah, it was cool to see all that. And it's fun to have them at the track, like we're saying. So, it was a really enjoyable trip out there on a lot of different levels.
So 2023 for the 23 team, you just got done, finished runner up at the Summer Nationals at Skagit. What's the plan as of right now for you guys in your racing schedule?
Yeah, so at the end of August, we're going to go a sponsor of mine, Josh Stagg. He's a big part of the Frontier region in Montana, and they have a big it's Harvey Ostermiller Memorial. It's $12,000 to win, and we're going to go support that. So we'll be at that big 2-day show in Billings, Montana, supporting them. Hopefully that's a really good deal. If you're listening to this and you're thinking of wanting to go check a race out or something, that's going to be a good spot to go in Billings, Montana at the end of the month. So it's going to be a great race. I know there's going to be a lot of good teams there. So make plans to go. But yeah, we're going to be there. And then after that, we're going, we'll come back to the Midwest, and then we're going to run with ASCS National Tour, some of their bigger races throughout the end of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, August 25th and 26th, I think, is those 2 days at Big Sky Speedway in Billings.
Yep, you're right.
So yeah, well, super super cool. Really looking forward to see how you do the rest of the year. You mentioned we talked about it. Shirts for sale. Do you do online sales or anything like that?
No, I don't. I don't have a website or anything set up
Okay.
for online sales. But I mean, if somebody's interested and want to buy something, we always just, a lot of times in the past, you can message me, you can find me on social media, and then, we can PayPal or whatever one of those pay apps is or whatever. I don't know. My wife
Sure.
usually does all that, but
Sure. Yeah.
we can handle it that way and get an address. We can send them out that way too.
Awesome. And social media page for people to follow your results. Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I don't have anybody that's dedicated to updating results, and a lot of times I'm really bad about it. We really don't ever update, but I'll, from time to time, we put things on my personal Facebook. It's just under my name, Seth Bergman, or I have a racing Twitter that, we have sometimes as well. And then I'm kind of old school in that, and it probably hurts me a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like if you win the races, they write the press releases for free.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And, on whatever track or whatever series website, and that's kind of how I go about it. But it's probably not right, but kind of how I roll.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you mentioned Josh Stagg. Other sponsors that you want to thank or people specifically for your 2023 season.
Yeah, we have Bryant Paver. He's come on board and been such a huge help, and he helps us continue to race. Bryant Paver Motorsports. His name's Bryant Paver. He's in the Midwest here and owns Midmo Equipment, and he also owns Garrett Williamson's team. So they do a great job. He's a big help of ours, so thanks to him. Josh Stagg, of course, and then my parents, as always, they've always been a part of our racing. They're a big part of it today. So thank my dad, my mom, and then Triple X Chassis, Scott Baylor Racing Engines. Just a lot of the contingency guys and stuff that help get our car together, and then all the people that their names are on our car as well. Tim Young, he's been a long-time supporter. He just lost his life recently, so we lost a good friend of ours with him and a good help to our team. So we lost him this year, condolences to him and his family. But there's a few people that help us, get this going up and down the road. And like I said, Josh and my parents and Brian, they're a big part of all of it as well. And then me and my wife now being in business helps a little bit as well. And then I think Nate too, Nate Vaughn, he has come and relocated and lives in the Midwest here with me, and he's been a big part of the success and results we've had over the past few years as well.
That's super cool. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to how everything unfolds and what 2024 is going to bring. We'll definitely have to call you this off season and see what you have cooking for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get through this year and hopefully get some more results and more wins, and then hopefully put some plans together and maybe getting a 410 built hopefully, and continuing on with our 360 program as well. But to just sit back and kind of focus and see where we want to take our schedule and style of racing we want to do. So it'd be nice to sit back down and go over it with you at some point.
Yeah. I say it to a lot of people. # bring back winter heat. So,
Man, I can tell you, I loved that. I wish I was a little more experienced at the time in 410 racing, but we did. We tried. We went and tried our hand, and we never had a lot of luck with consistency with engines, and I never got to do the full week. But we need to get a group of people together, and it would be so cool to see a winter heat, whether it's 360s or 410s. Just get a solid series together in the winter, and I know myself and our team, we would be a part of something like that again. I like the way you're thinking there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy day, and I'm glad that you got home safely back home to Owasso, and we'll be talking soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. Thanks.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the interview, race fans. Again, be sure and hit like, subscribe, and get the latest and greatest news, whether it's getting up to speed, inside NARC, or sprint car news today. If you subscribe on the YouTube channel, it'll get you those notifications as soon as all the new episodes come out. In the meantime, everybody have a great rest of your day, night, whatever time you're listening, and we'll be back next time with more stuff from Highside Racing Promotions.